So in this video, we're going to talk about how to fill out a disability report for Social Security. This particular form that we're going to talk about in this video is the form that at the very bottom of the form says 3368. This is a very black and white form. The questions that it's being asked, the total form is about 11 or 12 pages, but don't be intimidated by the length. It's a lot of repeated things in there. You might not even end up filling out the entire form because they leave a lot of extra boxes for people who have a lot of doctors. This form is, there's not a lot of color to it. It's asking very objective questions. There's really not too many places to get tripped up in the adjudicative process by the information that's asked in here. But there are a couple questions that I want you to pay particular attention to and make sure that you're really thinking about the question when you're filling out the form, because these are some places where some claims can go astray. So there's nothing too significant to worry about on the first page. It's just asking you your name, your address, your phone number if you speak English, pretty basic stuff. The page 2, similarly, very objective, simple questions. But the first place that I really do want you to focus on, and maybe you want to go through and answer these questions now while I'm going through them with you, is section 5, which is found on page 3. 5B asks if you attended special education classes. It's very important in many cases that we have education records and that there's an allegation if if there's any type of learning disability alleged. It's important that this is filled out right and it's made clear that you did attend special education classes. Don't feel constrained in here. It asks the name of the school, city, state you attended, so that Social Security as well as our office can work to get your school records. Here in 5B, you'll definitely want to put the last school that you attended. But if you were in multiple districts and you think that some of the records might be elsewhere than just the last school or the last district you attended, there is space on the very last page of the form, or if you're using our forms, on the final drop-down menu to add some additional remarks. And it's definitely worth it to put the extra schools or places that you think we'd find some records for you. So that's important. Section 6, which is titled Job History, that's also very important. Section 6D of this form asks you kind of to describe, and they only leave room on this form for one page, but don't worry because they're also going to send you a work history report to fill out, and I'm going to talk even more about the importance of your work history and filling this form out right in another video that you can click on. But in question section 6D, it asks you the amount of time that you spent at work walking, standing, sitting, climbing, handling large objects, writing or using small objects, reaching. I want you to not think about that as an average. I want you to think about that as they were asking you in an 8-hour day, what's the most you ever had to walk? What's the most you ever had to stand or sit? Or what's the most amount of time in a day when you were at work that you would ever have to spend handling large objects? Social Security is not about averages. You can really hurt yourself if maybe on most days your job only required you to, stand or walk for a total of 3 hours in a day, but there were some days when you had to be on your feet walking around all day long. And if the most that you can stand now is only 4 hours, Social Security could say that you could return to your past work if you had put 3 because that was the average, but there's days when you wouldn't be able to do your job if you had put the number 8 there in those boxes. At the very least, if you don't feel comfortable just writing 8 in there, it's okay to write, walk 3 to 8. There were times you sometimes had to stand 3 hours. There were times you sometimes had to stand for 8 hours. So that's very important. Similarly, and don't overlook this, question 6F asks about the heaviest weight that you had to lift. The heaviest amount of weight, not the heaviest amount of weight that you had to lift every day, the heaviest weight that you had to lift, every other day. Truly, if you had a job where on some days you might do very minimal lifting at all, but on other days maybe it was part of your job duties that you would have to help reorganize an office, or you had to take delivery of packages that could be expensive. Think about the heaviest you had to lift in that job. Because you can really pay for it later by answering these questions too quickly. The last thing that I really want you to focus on in this form is Section 8 asks about updating your medical treatment. This is a form that gets sent. I'm sure you're seeing it pretty early on in your case. Do your best to answer and inform about your medical treatment. But I don't want you to spend too much time dwelling and be worried if you forget a doctor or anything like that, because we can always update your case for Social Security. And there's another form on our website and in our app that you can complete just to quickly, let us know about another doctor if maybe you think you forgot one on your application or in your meeting, with myself or another attorney in our office. The important thing is just that this gets filled out. Now, I review all of these forms before they get sent to Social Security, so you don't have to worry too much about filling it out wrong, because if I see something that I don't like or I have more questions about, you're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from someone in the office. But please, if I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have additional questions, you can call us. You can reach us through email, whatever works best for you. Thank you. I hope that this explains the disability report adult. Thank you.
Finally, girl, the disability warriors, fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves.